Hey guys, so for a while now, I'd say a few months, I've been questioning myself as into why I've been feeling the way I feel. So, looking online, symptoms and stuff, it comes up with it's the worst thing you could do really is just like look online and try and self-diagnose yourself. But the one thing that kept popping up on every search I was doing was I was either depressed, which could answer a few questions, but the main one was burnout. Now, I didn't really know what burnout was until I googled it. So it's got to the point now where I burnt myself out. I was working nights. I work nights full time, 5 days a week. So I was working night shift. I'd come home. I would help my wife get the boys ready for school, for nursery. I would take Elliot to the bus stop sometimes, or my wife would, and then she'd go straight to work because he likes to take him to the bus stop. And then I would take my other son to nursery, and he's only there for 2 hours. But burnout, I mean, that's what I'm off on the sick at the moment. I got stress at work, stress at home. I did have stress at home, but I've been off work now for like a month, and I've still got another week left because obviously the first week you've got a self-cert, and then I've got 4 weeks on the sick. So I mean, my wife noticed a change in my attitude. She noticed a change in my behaviour, how I would just flip like that and get angry and start shouting. Little things would set me off, like if Elliot would ask me for a glass of milk, I would just flip and start shouting. My wife would say things that would annoy me. I'd go out the kitchen. I'd get really frustrated and really angry because she's asked me to like make her a cup of tea, or and it would just really wind me up. So she was getting a bit fed up with it, and I was just so worried that she might just think one day, you know what, I've had enough of you, get out. But I mean, I don't think it would ever have got to that. But I went to her and I said to her, look, I think I need to go and see a doctor or go get some help. And she agreed with me. She said, look, just do what your attitude has changed. You've changed a bit since in the last few months, and I agreed with that. So she said same as what I did. I'm burnt out, but I put what burnt out is up here. Well, I was a bit down in the dumps. I was a bit like I didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to get up. Didn't want to really go to work. Just would have been happy just to either lay in bed all day, or I was even dreading getting up to do stuff with the kids, dreading to go out. I had anxiety. I had like a couple of panic attacks when I went shopping. Like I felt trapped. Like I'd go there and it was really busy. The one time at the shop I went to, or there are these new gates installed on the tills, these big massive metal gates you couldn't even sort of squeeze past. All the tills were busy and I just felt trapped. I was like, what do I do? Where do I go? I'm not sure if some woman saw me panicking, but I managed to squeeze past some woman, and I went out and I had the 2 kids with me as well. So I'm in the car, my heart is doing 100 miles an hour, just absolutely racing like anything. I thought I was going to have a heart attack or something. I thought it was going to blow up, my heart was going to burst out my chest. As I sat in the car then, I was alright. I sort of controlled my breathing and I was alright. The other time I had a panic attack is when I was in a supermarket and we were doing some shopping, me and my wife and the 2 boys. And Elliot decided just to run around the shop, run away from us, not listen to us. So I was getting stressed about that. I was at the till waiting to pay at the self-serve, and I was getting really stressed, really panicky. People were pushing me, people walking into me, trying to squeeze past. There's plenty of room. Could get a bus through where I was. And I just started to get really panicky. My heart was racing again. I was feeling sweaty, but I was freezing cold. So I was just there, and I think I was on the verge of just walking out. And one of the women at the supermarket. She was absolutely fantastic. I think she saw that I was on the verge of like having a panic attack or something, mental breakdown or something. And she said, "Oh, you paid my card?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "Oh, come this way." So she scanned everything through for me, and I was like, "Thank you so much." Like, I felt a bit more relaxed, a bit more at ease. I told my wife about it, and then she definitely confirmed that I definitely need to message the doctor, contact the doctors. I told my wife about it, and she was like, "You know, do you think you should go and to tell the doctor?" My doctors, you have to do an e-consult. If you ring up, they just say, "Look, you need to do it online." And now they've. It used to be you could email throughout the day, but now they've changed it. I don't know why they've changed it. You have to do it between 8:30 and 11:30. Even though when I tried to do one a couple of weeks ago, it was just about 11 o'clock, and it wouldn't go through. If it doesn't go through, it just goes in like a circle, like it's not loading up properly. You click the link that you need to do, and then you just take it back to the main menu, and so on and so on. So with that, then the surgery rang me back, but I was sleeping at the time because I was still working nights, and they didn't ring me back. I didn't get a phone call back to say, "Look, you know what's going on." Obviously, at this moment in time, I was still going to work. I was still working. I was going in, and then about I'd say about a month ago, I had a panic attack in work. It just got to the point then when I just started panicking again. I had the same feelings I did when I was in the shop. Panic attack, flustered, you know. So I just grabbed all my stuff and I just went. I didn't finish my paperwork. But I knew the numbers in my head. I just couldn't get them down. I just felt I needed to just get out of there now. So I just grabbed everything. I just walked out. But I did email them and explain the situation and what had happened. And fair play to the company. They've been very understanding. They've offered me help and this, that and the other. But in the meantime, I was already speaking to a mental health therapist about how I was feeling. But I went in the week after then, and you know I was all right. I was doing stuff, but then I started stressing because I wasn't on the same line I was on. Like when I first started, I was on the same line day in, day out. So you become accustomed, you know how things run. The problems with that line you can sort out and blah blah blah. They can put me on different lines, so that was stressing me out. When I'm at home, like I was saying earlier, like I take Aiden to nursery and I used to sleep for an hour, and then I'd go and pick him up because he's in nursery for 2 hours. But by the time I get home, I'd only get like an hour roughly, so I'd have an hour just sleep properly, and then I'd wake up, come to, do what I need to do. Then I would go and pick him up, come back, and I'd have another sleep with him. It could be an hour, it could be 2, maybe 3. It all depends what mood he's in that day. Because no kid is predicted, no kid is like, "Oh yeah, right, he'll sleep for 3 hours, perfect, blah." And then he would wake up, I would wake up, and then Elliot would come home. I'd get him off the bus, he'd come home, I'd do stuff with them, I'd do him dinner, I'd get him ready for bed and whatnot, and then my wife would be home about 5:45. And in that meantime, then me and my wife will have food then, so some days she's home earlier, some days she's not. So I could be sleeping 6, 7, 8. So then I'd sleep that from there, and then I'd get up at 10 o'clock. Well, there's not much sleep, is it? So I'd be sleeping maybe 3, 4, maybe on a good night 5 hours a night. So I've been doing that since I started nights at this place. So if I'd worked later, if I went in at 11, like I was supposed to, but I don't, I leave at 10:30 because of the job is so stressful. I like to get there a little bit earlier just to set up everything. Or even if I did, like in a previous job I did 10:30 till 6, so I'd come home at 6, 6:30 I'd get home roughly round about there, maybe a bit earlier, and I would go sleep for an hour, and I didn't feel too bad. But as Aiden's getting older, obviously he's 2 now, and his sleep is getting less and less, to the point where it's going to get to the point where he doesn't sleep, because obviously he'd be going to school full time, he won't sleep. So getting that many, sometimes I'd have 3 hours, sometimes, you know. And then on my days off, then I'd want to spend time with my wife. Or if my wife was off when I had work, I just wouldn't go to sleep. I know that's my own fault. But obviously I've paid the toll now. I mean, I've had my wife's family worrying that I'm going to keel over one day, and just sort of, from the lack of sleep, from the stress. And for lack of a better word, I haven't been very nice to my family, like, and that's why I went to go and get help. There's no shame in it. I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say I went and got help. I'm glad I got help, because I obviously needed it. And if I'd carried on going the way I was going, it would have just, I don't know. I'm scared to think of how it could have affected me. How it could have affected my family. I could have, I don't know, ended up in hospital, anything. So, for me to go and get help, I mean, I'm not ashamed. For years, like, when I was growing up, you'd think, oh yeah, men don't have mental health problems, men don't struggle, men don't suffer. You'd put on this tough exterior. You would be like, yeah, I'm all right. I feel a bit knackered, I feel a bit rubbish, but put on a brave face and nobody will think anything's wrong. It's all right to not be all right. Like, if you need to go and see somebody about anything, I mean, there's help you can get online. But I felt like I needed to speak to somebody, not just look at stuff online and read about how I'm feeling and what I can do. I mean, I didn't want to. Some people, other people are different. I mean, you might be able to go to group sessions. They do offer that. I didn't want to. I didn't want to speak to people in front of everybody and say, look, this is what's wrong with me. So I just said, look, I want one-on-one sessions. She said, they said it's like a 6-month wait. We'll put your name down. Blah blah blah. We'll contact you when you can be seen. And I was like, yeah, happy days, So it wasn't exactly the 6 months, but I think it was like 3 or 4 months. I think I had to wait, and then I had an appointment, and I went down to my local surgery, because they would to go down there once a week. They were allowed to have there once a week. So I had a couple of sessions with the guy. Don't get me wrong, he was lovely. He was very neutral. He was very helpful. And I did feel a lot better speaking to him. I only had the 2 sessions, because the only times he could meet me was when Aidan was out of nursery, so I wouldn't be able to take him and just speak, because it would stress me out trying to talk to him and then have my little boy running around. So I only had the 2 sessions. It probably would have been about 3-4 sessions by now if I managed to go to those ones. But the one time he could do it was when my wife was off, and I went to both times my wife was off, because her shifts vary every week. If they're short-staffed, she could be on a different day. You could just say, look, do you mind swapping? So I did speak to him, and I did feel a lot better. And like I said before, there's no shame in going to speak to somebody. And sometimes if you speak to somebody you don't know about how you feel and what's going on in your life, then I don't know, I felt better for it. I would recommend it to anybody. I'd recommend that if you're struggling with mentally, if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, I mean, since I've been off work, I've been getting more sleep, obviously, because I'm not working. I'll sleep through the night. I wake up, I do feel, some days I do feel tired, like most, kids have restless nights. You wake up needing the toilet or whatever. But I do feel better for going to speak to someone. So, if you need the help, you need to go and speak to someone. I thought I could just carry on the way I was. My wife came home from work one day and she saw the way I was, and she said, look, you can't go to work like that. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you just can't. You cannot physically go in. You look absolutely stressed, you look burnt out. And that's when I asked her, what is burnt out? What does that mean? And she told me then. She said, you've obviously been getting much sleep for a long time, and it's caught up with you, and it did. That one day I hit a wall, and the kids were, I wouldn't say playing me up. They were just being kids. They were just a bit hyperactive, running around, winding each other up, just playing and screaming and shouting. And a few times I did snap, just shouted at them. I think the lowest point for me was when I would just snap at my wife over little things. I'd speak to her like crap. And I made my 5-year-old cry because he asked me for something and I just flew off the handle. And when I spoke to my wife about it, I did get upset. And she said, "Do you think you need to speak to someone?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I do." So I can't go on like this. I said, if I end up like carrying on the way I am, I'm either going to do some serious harm to myself, or I said to her, I said, you and the kids are just going to leave me. And she said, she wouldn't leave me. She would support me in that, but she's starting to get a bit fed up of the way I am. And we were talking about this the other day, and she seems to, well, she said that I'm a lot different now. I'm like back to the way I was before. And I said to her last night, I said, sorry, I've been a crap father. Sorry, I've been so rubbish lately. She goes, even when you're rubbish, you're still really good with the kids. And it did bring a tear to my eye, but the fact that she does still feel that way about me. I know she loves me, and we'd be lost without each other. I mean, the way we met, I think we obviously, I knew as soon as I met my wife that she was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. It was just an instant thing. As soon as we were talking, we met online and we were talking, and then as soon as I saw her, I just knew. So I wouldn't want to be without her, and she wouldn't want to be without me. But it is hard when, you are burnt out and a little bit down in the dumps. And I did feel a bit, I wouldn't say I was had depression. I just felt a bit depressed some days. I felt a bit worthless, a bit rubbish as a parent, rubbish as a husband. But I mean, there is help out there. If I can go and get help, and I mean, for a long time, I've always felt like I have to be the strongest one in my family. Even my mother died like 10 years ago, because if I fell apart, then everything else would fall apart. And then, we were all together, and I thought, put on a brave face, put on a smile and everything, make everyone else feel better. Well, it doesn't always work that way. And you see it on the news all the time, like celebrities committing suicide. You'd think, oh, I wouldn't expect that from him. He's so happy all the time every time you see him. But behind closed doors, it could be completely different. I go into work, I have a laugh and a joke with everybody. I'm smiling, I'm laughing, and I'm telling everyone, life is good, whatnot. But then when I come home, I'm thinking, I'm just rubbish. So I just can't seem to shut off. My brain is constantly ticking over and over and over. And even now, I'm a bit like I'm only getting statutory sick pay. So it is I'm a bit concerned about the money side of it, because, we've got bills to pay. Gas and electric is astronomical. Petrol is, and diesel is expensive. But like my wife said, you have to do what you have to do. If I need the time off to recover and to make myself feel better, then I need the time off. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I don't know. It's just, it is hard, and struggling the way I was. There's no way I would have been able to carry on doing that the plan was I'd carry on doing what I was doing now till September. But then the constant changes in work and the stress in work, it started to come home with me. I started to bring the stress home with me, and I'd be stressed at home. Like I said, I just felt absolutely worthless and rubbish and everything. So, I mean, I do feel a lot better now, and I think this next week I'm off, I should be well enough to go back to work. But like I said, guys, if you are struggling, then there is help out there if you need it. I mean, I live in South Wales, and I didn't think I'd be able to get the help I needed. You can speak to your GP, tell them, get an appointment, tell them how you're feeling, what's going on. They can refer you to the, maybe there's like a mental health nurse at the surgery you go to that you can request to go make an appointment to go and see. So, I mean, the one at my surgery, she seems to be there every day, so, because I think everyone's struggling. In some way, shape or form, everyone's struggling. I mean, mental health is a serious thing. I wouldn't say I didn't think it was. I didn't think it would happen to me. I'm quite a laid back person normally. I'm a horizontal hero, as some people I've been called in the past. Like, so I mean, it can affect anybody. If it can affect me, and I normally I don't take things on the chin. I don't get annoyed or angry as that much. It takes a lot for me to have my buttons pushed. But when my wife told me that one day, even she knew something wasn't right. She'd known for a while, I think, something wasn't right, but that just confirmed everything. So I know it's a long-winded video, and I just wanted to talk on it because that's what I've been going through for the last month. So guys, if you do feel like you're struggling mentally, physically, then there is help out there that you can get. I thought I'd end up being on like antidepressants or anxiety medication or whatnot, but luckily I'm all right. But there's no shame in that either. There's nothing wrong with having anxiety medication. I mean, like I said, there's no shame in being medicated. I know a few people that are, and you wouldn't think it looking at them the way they are. So, but anyway, guys, I hope you like the video. Please give me a thumbs up and like the video. Give me a subscribe, because I've noticed the majority of people who watch my videos are not subscribers. So give me a like and a subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one.